She stood in the living room at 6:47 p.m., suitcase in hand like she was catching a flight to freedom. 3 years together. 1 year sharing this space. Her cheeks burned red with the kind of anger that's been rehearsing. You know what, Marcus? I'm done. Her voice shook, but not from fear. From resolution. Done asking permission to come home late. Done explaining who I hang out with. I'm living my life my way without your rules. I set my coffee mug on the table. Slow, deliberate, the way you handle delicate machinery. A smile pulled at the corner of my mouth. Not cruel, just knowing. Excellent, I said, but the keys stay on the table. She blinked. Hard. Like someone had changed the channel mid-sentence. What? Apartment keys. I nodded toward the dish by the door. You're living your life. Makes sense you'd want your own place to do it. The suitcase handle went slack in her grip. I didn't mean. She started, then stopped. 3 years. She'd never bothered with her own lease. Why would she? My 2-bedroom downtown was rent-controlled and walking distance to her favorite spots. Her salary went to clothes, dinners, weekend trips. Rent money was for people without options. I'll figure something out, she said. Less fire now. Course you will. Plenty of options. Sarah's got that pull-out couch. Emma's place has room, if you don't mind the cats. I watched her mental math. Sarah's studio with paper-thin walls and neighbors who screamed about sports. Emma's place where she'd need allergy medication to breathe. Marcus, I wasn't talking about moving out. What were you talking about? I stood, walked to the window. Living your way in my space. Seeing whoever you want but sleeping in my bed. Spending my money on your independence. Each word landed clean. No shouting. Just facts lined up like evidence. She set the suitcase down. It's not like that. Lisa. I turned to face her. I don't control you. I ask when you'll be home because I worry when you don't answer texts till 3 a.m. I want to know our plans because I like spending time with the person I'm supposedly building something with. That's called respect, not control. But you always. Always what? Care where you are? Want to include you in decisions. Try to build a life that works for both of us. I shook my head. Maybe the problem isn't my rules. Maybe you're not ready for partnership. Silence filled the room, like smoke. I thought I was ready, she said, quieter now. But when you talk about the future, about marriage, kids, I can't breathe. Like the walls are closing in. I sat back down. Then why did we drag this out? Because I love you. Tears finally came. But I'm scared of disappearing. Of becoming just your girlfriend, then your wife, then nothing that's mine. And I was scared you saw me as convenient. Nice apartment. Stability, someone to come home to, but not a partner. We looked at each other across 3 years of almost right. What now? She asked. I reached into her purse, took her keys, placed them on the table next to my coffee. Now you go live your way, without my rules, and I figure out what I actually want instead of managing what I don't. What if I realize I made a mistake? Then you come back different. Someone who knows what they're choosing instead of what they're avoiding. She grabbed the suitcase handle, walked to the door, stopped. Thanks for being honest. Thanks for not pretending anymore. The door closed with a soft click. I stared at her keys on the table and turned the music up. Empty spaces echo if you let them. 6 months later, she did come back. But that's another story. The apartment stayed quiet for exactly 12 hours. At 7:23 a.m., my phone buzzed. Lisa's sister Kate, she's at mom's crying. Says you threw her out with no warning. True. I poured coffee, typed back. She said she wanted to live without my rules. I said good luck, but not here. That's called alignment. Kate, you could have worked it out. We tried working it out for months. She wanted freedom from consequences. I wanted partnership with accountability. Different goals. No response to that. By noon, the stories were circulating. I heard them through Sarah, who worked with my neighbor Jim. Lisa's version had me as controlling, jealous, throwing her out over girls' nights. Clean narrative. Clear victim. I didn't correct anyone. Didn't post my side or share screenshots of 3 a.m. texts that said, staying at Emma's, don't wait up, followed by social media posts from clubs across town. Let her keep her story. Truth doesn't need social media campaigns. Monday, I changed the locks. Not out of spite. Out of clarity. She'd made her choice. I was making mine. Emma texted that afternoon. Lisa wants to get some things from the apartment. When works. Saturday between 2 and 4. I'll be at the gym. Keys will be with building management. She was hoping you could be there. To talk. Nothing to talk about. She has 2 hours to get what she needs. Emma tried again. She says you're being cold. I'm being clear. Different thing. The gym became my Saturday sanctuary. 2 hours of weights and quiet while she collected pieces of a life she decided she didn't want. I came home to spaces that looked intentional again. Purposeful. Like rooms where someone lived instead of just waited. 8 weeks later, I was installing a ceiling fan when she knocked. Not the doorbell. Knocked. Like she was asking permission to exist in the hallway. I climbed down, opened the door. She looked smaller. Thinner. The kind of tired that doesn't fix with sleep. Hey, she said. Hey. I made a mistake. I leaned against the doorframe. Didn't invite her in. Didn't shut the door. Okay. That's it. Just okay. What did you expect? She gestured vaguely. I don't know. Questions? Anger? Something. I'm not angry, Lisa. I'm different. Different how? Different like I stopped waiting for you to figure out what you wanted. Different like I started building a life that works instead of hoping someone else would want to join it. She looked past me into the apartment. New couch. Paintings she'd never seen. Evidence of months without her input. Is there someone else? There's me. That's enough for now. Her face crumpled. I've been staying at Mom's. Sleeping in my teenage bedroom. Working late because I can't stand going back there. Everything feels wrong. I'm sorry it's hard. Are you? Really? I considered that. I'm sorry you're in pain. I'm not sorry you're learning what your choices cost. That's cruel. That's honest. You wanted to live without my rules. Turns out my rules were just requests for partnership. Now you know the difference. She wrapped her arms around herself. I was scared of losing myself. So you lost us instead. Can we try again? We did try. For 3 years. You were never all in. I could be now. Based on what? Regret? Inconvenience? Missing the apartment? Based on missing you. You missed the version of me that absorbed your uncertainty and called it love. That person doesn't exist anymore. She started crying. Real tears this time. Not performance tears. I don't know what to do. Figure out who you are when you're not reacting to someone else's expectations. Build something that's yours. Stop looking for people to complete you and start completing yourself. And then nothing. Do it because you need to, not because it might win me back. I stepped back, hand on the door. I changed the locks, Lisa. But more than that, I changed my mind. About accepting pieces of commitment. About explaining why respect matters. About believing that love means letting people hurt you whenever they're confused. Marcus. I hope you figure it out. I really do. But not with me. Not anymore. I closed the door softly. Heard her footsteps fade down the hall. 6 months later, she moved to Portland. New job. New life. Emma told me she seems happier. More settled. Like she finally found what she was looking for. Good for her. I kept the apartment. Kept building something solid. Met someone who doesn't see partnership as prison. Who shows up when she says she will. Who asks for space when she needs it instead of taking it and calling it independence. Revolutionary concept. The keys to my life don't sit on the table anymore. They're in the hands of someone who knows what doors they open. And that, as it turns out, makes all the difference.